Okay, it is time for piano. Let me see. Get this. There it is. Hey everybody, welcome. It is Saturday. It's time for piano. I'm so glad you could join me today. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We are going to be beefing up our song list today. I'm actually going to give you 2 new songs, so we're going to really get busy, all right? All right, the first thing I want you to do though is go ahead and share this live stream and let everyone know it's time for piano and hit that like button so everybody can see, all right? The second thing is of course, subscribe on YouTube if you haven't done that. You can find me at Izzy Chia on YouTube, and I'm so happy to have you there so you can rewatch your lessons. The next thing is if you haven't joined the private group, then you're missing out, right? So search on Facebook for Encore Music Makers and put that request in to join so you can get that interaction from me, okay? The last thing, of course, is I am on Patreon, and Patreon is a fantastic platform for creative people like myself to collect sort of a more regular, steady income. So pick a tier of donation that works for you. I have different tiers from $5 monthly all the way up to $50 monthly. So choose something that works for you and your budget, all right? Thank you so much for listening to that. Let's get started. I'm very excited, all right? So today we're always going to start beginning with our Hanon number 1, okay? That's that exercise to warm up our fingers. So I'm going to switch to piano view real quick and we're going to play it together, all right? If you need the music, I think Hanon number 1 is on page 78, all right? 78. All right, here we go. We're going to start with our Hanon. All right, here we go. 1, 2, ready, play. Definitely feel warmed up. How do your fingers feel? Did they get a little bit jumbled in that exercise? I actually did it a pretty quick tempo. So if that was a little bit fast for you, don't worry. You can always slow it down to something that works better for you, okay? That's actually pretty close to what the tempo that I choose in my warm-up. So very good. Let's turn the page. We're going to go to page 82 now, okay? 82. And you'll see the song I assigned you last week, Alouette, right? Nice job. Now, this one's a great song. Like I said, it's a C position song, but it has a really solid understanding of that dotted quarter note, right? And if you remember, that dotted quarter note is 1.5 beats, right? So if we were counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, you would basically hold the dotted quarter note on the 1 and 2, and then you would continue with the rest of the music, right? Let's see if we can make that clear in our song for last week, okay? I'm going to pick a good medium tempo. So if you want to play along with me, you give it a try, all right? Let's do it. Okay, friends, so this one is in C position, all right? I've got that right hand thumb on middle C, I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, and there is my spot for my left hand C position. All right. Try your best with those dynamics because there are a lot of different dynamic signs going on here. Okay, I'm going to count off. Ready? 1, 2, ready, play. Excellent job. All right. I'm pretty impressed. Like I said though, the dynamics were really the thing that made this song, right? There's such a contrast, and I think I did a fairly good job communicating that. So, I'm hoping that you were able to do as well a good job with those dynamic signs, right? It's a perfect example of a forte and a piano, right? And I just love that second line where it has that crescendo and diminuendo. It really makes a cool effect at the piano. So nice work. You did awesome on that song. All right, well, like I said, we've got a lot to do today, so we're kind of starting a little bit quick. We've got 2 new songs, okay? And both of the songs involve the interval of a sixth, okay? Now, if you can remember, the interval of a sixth would be your finger 1 to finger 5, but you would stretch that finger 5 or finger 1, depending on the actual note of the chord, a little bit further, like an extra note, to make it 6 notes instead of 5, okay? Same thing goes with the left hand. Pinky 5 will stretch up to finger 1, an extra note, depending on what's written in the music, okay? If you can remember also, you can do intervals melodically, which is each note individually in a melody, or harmonically, which is when you play them at the same time. It kind of sounds like a chord, okay? That's the difference. But you can do that with an interval of a sixth as well, okay? Now, if you notice at the middle of page 83, there's 2 warm-up lines for the treble clef right hand C position. I'm going to play through both of those treble clef lines so you can see how big a sixth actually is in relation to the other intervals we have learned, okay? Let's switch to piano view so you can see that, okay? If you want to play along, you're more than welcome to. Okay, first line of music in the middle of 83, it says melodic intervals for the right hand. I have my right hand in C position, okay? I'm going to count off and you're going to see how this sounds. These are the melodic ones. 1, 2, ready, play. 2, second, up a third, up a fourth, up a fifth, up a sixth. All right, that was pretty good. Did you hear those differences in the intervals and the notes? Fantastic. Now let's move down 1 line, now to the harmonic intervals. All right, I'm going to count off. Listen carefully at the difference between the notes. 1, 2, ready, play. Second, 2, 3, 4, up to third, 2, 3, 4, then a fourth, 2, 3, 4, and a fifth, 2, 3, 4, with a sixth, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Doesn't that sound interesting? I like the feel of a sixth. It's sort of like a stretch, right? You're like a stretch up to an A, right? We're going to do the same thing with the left hand now, okay? Now, left hand C position, we're going to go through the same thing. Melodic intervals to start, then to our harmonic intervals. So look at the bottom of 83 and you can follow along and play with me. So C position, we're going to begin with that finger 5 on our C in the bass clef. I'm going to count off. We're starting with the melodic line. Ready? 1, 2, ready, play. C. Second, up a third, to a fourth, very nice, to a fifth, up a sixth. Beautiful work, my friends. Very nice. Okay, like I said, we're going to continue that same energy and we are going to try the harmonic interval line, which is the final line written at the bottom of 83. We're going to start with that interval of a second with our 5 and 4 on C and D. Ready? 1, 2, ready, play. 2, 3, 4, and a third. 2, 3, 4 with a fourth. 2, 3, 4, and a fifth. 2, 3, 4, up a sixth. 2, 3, 4. Very nice. Yeah. You can sort of get that idea, right? With that stretching at that sixth. You're like, a sixth, 2, 3, 4. It's kind of cool. I like the way it sounds. Let's turn the page. We're going to go to page 84 now. And we're going to get our first song. It's called Lavender's Blue. Excellent. It is a 3-line song. And it's a great one because a lot of people know this song. But it basically takes that interval of a sixth and it puts it into practice in the song, right? At certain points within this song, we have a fifth, but then it stretches an extra note. So we're going to see if we can work through that extra stretch with a sixth. Let's do it. We're going to begin with the right hand of Lavender's Blue, and then we'll do the left hand. You'll notice that the right hand has melodic intervals at certain points, as well as harmonic intervals. For the majority of the left hand, you actually have harmonic intervals, okay? So let's start with that right hand. We're in C position with our thumb on middle C. I'm going to count off because we're in 3/4 time, all right? Wonderful. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, ready, and play. C, G, G, fifth, F, E, D, C, C, A, sixth, 2, 3, C, G, G, fifth, F, E, D, C, F, E, D, C, 2, 3, repeat. C, G, G, fifth, F, E, D, C, C, A, sixth, 2, 3, C, G, G, fifth, F, E, D, C, F, E, D, C, 2, 3. Now last line, rest. G, F, E, D, C, rest, rest, rest. Third, third, third. Beautiful work. Yes. Yeah, it's a nice little tune. It really, really is. And I sang the note names as we were going through this right-hand melody. Sometimes it's really important to write in some pinpoint notes every now and then if you can't recognize it by the position on the staff. That's totally fine. I do want to state though that it's probably not a good idea to write all the notes or all the finger numbers every time because then you get an over-reliance on those numbers and names versus actually seeing where it moves up and down in the staff. So little help, little tips every now and then are okay, but try not to write them all down, okay? Excellent. Now, did you notice the part where it switched into sixth? If you look at the third measure of the first line, you have a melodic sixth between your C and A. And then in the fourth measure of the first line, you have a harmonic sixth. So you got both of them right there, which is pretty cool. All right? Now, let's see what the left hand is doing, okay? Remember, it's got mainly harmonic chords and harmonic intervals, but use your ears and make sure you're counting your rests, and you'll be able to follow along with me, okay? Let's give it a try. Okay, so I'm starting in C position. Of course, I've got my left hand thumb on G below middle C, and I'm beginning with a 1 triad, a C major triad, okay? I'm going to count off. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, ready, and play. 1 chord, rest, rest. 1 chord, rest, rest. 4 chord, rest, rest. C third with a 4 chord, 1 chord, rest, rest. 1 chord, rest, rest. 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd. G, F, E, D, 1 chord. This is the repeat. Rest, rest, rest. With a 4 chord, rest, rest. C, rest, C chord, rest, rest. 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd. G, F, E, D, C. Rest, rest, rest. G, F, E, D, C. 5th, 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 2, 3. Beautiful work. Yes, absolutely right. So you notice those spots, right? Those spots where it was like, it had an obvious sixth because it was written differently. Like the bottom note was either a space note or a line note, and then it was at the top note, it was the opposite. It was either going to be a space note or a line note, right? Because a sixth, if you look at it on the staff, they're going to be stretched out from a fifth to its opposite note. So it'll be a space note to a line note, or a line note up to a space note. That's a really good indicator to see if it's a sixth versus a fifth, because a fifth, it would be the same. It would be space note to space note or line note to line note, okay? So keep that in mind as you're analyzing your music, okay? I think we did pretty good with those spots there. So let's see if we can try listening to it hands together, all right? There's a couple things I want to mention. First, before we do that, though, I should probably show this. So there's a word at the end of our song, and it's called ritardando, okay? Another fancy Italian word, right? So it's basically telling us that we're going to pretend that we're running out of batteries, or we're slowing down gradually to the end, right? Ritardando, right? I got to roll my R's. If not, you can always say retardando. That's fine too. Of course, with my Spanish, I'm always like, retardando, right? It's fun. So keep that in mind. You're going to slow down towards the end, okay? All right. We also have a little bit of pedal at the end. So if you've got a pedal at your piano or keyboard, we're talking about the right foot. It goes down when you see the cymbal, and it lifts up at the end of that phrase at the very end, okay? Let's switch to piano view. Bravo! Here we go. C position. Perfect. I am in my spot. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, ready, and play. Repeat. absolutely. We're doing such a good job. Now, that was the first of 2 songs that I wanted to teach you today, right? So, we're really going to try and get this second song in, all right? And I'm excited. This is another very popular tune. It's called Kumbaya, okay? Take a look. So, Kumbaya is on page 85 of your book. And we actually have a new time signature that we're going to be introducing in this song. So if you remember the time signature, woohoo! The time signature is telling you basically how many beats are going to be in each measure and the type of note that's going to get the beat, all right? You've learned 4/4 time, you've learned 3/4 time, but now we have 2/4 time, okay? 2 beats a measure, the quarter note is still getting the beat, all right? So instead of counting to 4, just count to 2, all right? Now, you'll look at Kumbaya and you'll probably wonder why are there so many different time signatures written in the middle of the song? This every measure it changes. That's totally fine. It's just telling you that the number of counts for that respective measure will be different, right? So the first measure I see at the beginning is a 2/4 measure. So it's just 2 beats. The following measure is 4/4. So we're going to count up to 4. The next one's 2, and the last one in that line is a 4. Then you'll notice at the next line it goes back to 2. It's like it's alternating, right? Do you see a pattern going on? I certainly do. All right, excellent. I'm so glad you noticed that. So let's take a look at Kumbaya. I'm actually going to try this one hands together from the start because our left hand comes in just at very specific times when we're playing chords, all right? So looking here at the beginning, we're going to be in C position, okay? We know this. We know C position, right? We also have a moderately slow tempo, so it's not going to be too quick for you. And then we also have a repeat at the end. That repeat, it says the second time we're going to play our hands octave higher, right? So we're going to go up on the piano and make it sound pretty, right? So let's see if we can try playing through this one nice and slowly, all right? Let's switch to piano view. Okay, so I am here in my G, oh no, this is not G position, silly me, this is C position. Oh goodness, all right. So C position, it begins with the right hand finger 1. Our left hand comes in the second measure with a 3 and a 5, all right? I'm going to count off. Ready? 1, 2, ready, play. C, E, 4, 6, 6, 5, 2, 3, 4. C, E, 5, 2, 4, 3, 2. That's a D, 3, 4. C, E, 6 in the left hand with an F. B, C, 3, 4. D, C, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, how did you do with that one? That one's kind of a hard one. That's definitely a little bit on the trickier side, isn't it? Yeah, if you want to take a hands apart, you're absolutely perfectly able to do that, right? I did sort of like a mixture between note names and finger numbers and interval names in the right hand, right? On that first time through. Now it does have a repeat, but I didn't quite do it. I'm going to do the repeat now, but I'm actually going to be saying my left hand finger numbers on the second time through, all right? It will also have that sound of being an octave higher because that's what it requires and what's written in the music for the second time through. So let's find our octave higher position and we're going to go through this one more time together, okay? Let's do it. Okie dokie. So, if we're starting an octave higher, that means that my left hand is going to be typically where my middle C right hand goes. So I'm going to put my right hand up here. All right, if you remember, I'm going to say my left hand interval finger numbers instead of the right hand. So be aware of that as we are playing together. Ready? 1, 2, ready, play. 5 and 3, 2 and 5. 5 and 3, 2, 3, 4. 5 and 3. 1 and 2, 2, 3, 4. 5 and 3. 2 and 5. 5 and 3, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 5 with a 6, down to 5th. 3, 4, second, second, third with a 1 and 3. 3, 4. There it goes. Yeah, it's certainly a mouthful for me. Trying to get all those finger numbers and intervals and note names and everything going on in there. There's a lot, right? Don't forget, on Mondays, what do? I do practice with me, right? So again, if this song is giving you trouble, if it's a thorn in your foot over this weekend, join me Monday live at 3 p.m. Central here on Facebook, and I will be practicing this song with you. We will go more in depth on the music and drill certain sections that are tricky and work through those really hard spots, okay? If you sign in on Monday, I'm able to answer your questions live too. So if you type something in the comment box, I will see it, all right? And I'll do my best to answer it, all right? Well, I'm so happy that you join me every single week for piano, right? We have a lot of fun. This is our 21st lesson. It's like so cool to think about. Who would have thought that during quarantine for the last 7 months that you would be learning to play the piano? It's pretty cool if you ask me. Anyway, I'm just glad that you're here. It's so cool. Keep up the good work, right? Now, if you turn to page 86, you have some theory to work on, okay? All about sixths and the interval to sixth, all right? So 86 is your theory homework for this week, all right? And of course, if you have any questions about theory or your songs, drop a question in the private group, because that's the functionality of that group, is to have me help you in a way that you can't get from any other teacher, okay? Very, very good on that. Quick reminder, of course, we have Patreon, right? So Patreon is a fantastic place. I am wanting to do a lot more on Patreon, so if you join me there, you're going to be getting a lot of really, really cool stuff. I think eventually I want to shift off of Facebook and onto Patreon only as the features are built out on this beautiful platform. So the earlier you get on Patreon, the quicker you're going to know about these really cool changes, okay? I'd love to have you. I've got tiers from $5 up to $50 a month. So if all you can afford is $5 a month, the cost of a Frappuccino, then consider joining so you can keep up with me, all right? Very good. And of course, the last thing, we always end our lessons with a music quote, right? I know this is like, it's kind of fun to do the music quotes because I know some students really enjoy hearing them, right? It's like motivating and grounding for us as musicians and pianists. All right, so today's music quote comes from the American poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. And this is what he says. Music is the universal language of mankind. I would agree with that. I think that music, again, it's like one of those things that's like transcendent across cultures and across locations and peoples and races and heritage. It's like one of those things that you can turn on something, a song or a beautiful classical piece or a symphony, and it communicate something to the masses of people around the world. It can evoke emotions, it can bring people together, it can help you get through a really trying, difficult time. It can help you celebrate. Like, that's so amazing about music, is like it can communicate so many things. Anyway, I'm just glad that you're here with me every week. I appreciate you guys. I will see you very soon, and I'll see you in the private group. All right, have a lovely weekend. Bye.